Summer Moon Utah Wells vanished from her very own basement on June 15, 2021. Since then, there have been many speculations and theories and stories of what really happened. But no one seems to really know. Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson says everyone is still a suspect. And I'm inclined to agree. So let's take a look at some of these thoughts, theories, and speculations, and see if we can find out 2 years later, where the hell is Summer Wells? June 15, 2021. Probably seemed like a pretty normal day to little Summer Wells. She went out with her mom and her grandma early in the morning just to run a few errands, take grandma by the hospital. No, nothing major. While grandma was at the hospital, they decided to pick up a friend, an adolescent. We call him H. H rides over to a little swimming hole with mom and little Summer Wells. Summer gets to go swimming. She has a blast. We saw it on TikTok.
We're waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry and Moreland Drive. And Warriors was straight across, so we just figured I'd take her over there to go swimming for a little bit while we waited on my mom's prescription. We weren't even there but 20 minutes.
And so then Summer came back here with you later that afternoon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so was there anybody else with you?
No, not when we came home, no.
Was there anybody else swimming with you? People I think had questions about.
Wanted to go with because he didn't want to be around his grandmother because, as he would call it, she's a... I'm sorry, that's what he said. And I said, okay, well, I gotta go pick up mom from the hospital, and then we gotta go do Walgreens, and then I'll take you home. Well, we had to wait for mom's prescription at Walgreens, so we just went up to Warriors. There was all kinds of trash everywhere at Warriors when we showed up, and I let Summer out to play. And we just stood there for about 15-20 minutes, and then we all got back in the truck and went and got mom's prescription, and I took him home, and then we came home.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
And I mean, I wanted to get out the house anyway.
Sure.
I ain't even gonna put it to her. I just wanted to get out the house.
Okay. And so what happened then?
And then her grandmother calls her and says to come pick her up when we're sitting right there.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. So so from here, where do you guys go?
From here, we go to the hospital.
Okay.
Pick up her mother.
Pick up grandma.
Not even like 10 minutes later,
Okay.
we go to Walgreens. So we went there.
You go there first,
And then-
after you pick up grandma.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
And then we put this prescription in,
Okay.
which is like probably about like 10, 15 minutes.
Do you know what kind of drugs?
No, I have no idea. She wouldn't say the name to it.
Got it.
And then we handed the prescription. They said about like 10, 15. Well, it was going to be 30 to 35
Who
points.
went inside the store?
Nobody went in. We went through the drive-thru.
Got it.
The drive-thru. Ball field.
Okay, so before we get there, let's go back to the drive-thru at Walgreens. Then what happened?
Then we went, well, she had to go get cigarettes because her mom complains of cigarettes all the time.
Where'd she get the cigarettes?
All right, so you know that Walgreens, right?
Yeah?
So there's this like daycare around there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's called like Kitty College.
Yeah, I saw that on the side, on the right.
Yeah, so there's a discount tobacco store.
Okay, so then what happens?
Then after that, we go to the horse stable part.
So you drive to the horse stable.
Straight to the horse stable.
Right from there, you go right to, you got the discount store, and you head right to the water park. So from the water hole now, or I'll call it a water hole.
From the water hole,
Where do you go?
we go to this thing called Hippie House.
Hippie house?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what took place then?
Then we went to grab that prescription.
That's when you went to the prescription?
Yes.
At Walgreens?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was ready?
Yeah.
So from there, where do you guys go?
From there, we go to Sonic.
Where?
Sonic.
Sonic? Okay, so from there, did you drink? Did they eat them there? Did you guys eat them there?
No, we ate them on the way to Price.
Between dropping H off and traveling out of Kingsport back into Rogersville. It was the longest point of the day, and the only people in the vehicle were Summer, Candace, and Grandis. What happened between dropping H off and arriving at home?
And I took him home, and then we came home.
The next thing we see is a video of Summer possibly sleeping in the backseat of a car. Mom and Grandma are in the front. Mom is driving. Grandma's trying to capture the perfect photo for some reason. Summer doesn't look well.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch.
Or did they actually make it home? And did that baby go into her home and disappear?
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
I don't think so. But what do you think? This was their day. The last day anybody ever saw Summer. This was her day. What happened? Where is Summer Wells? They get to the house, from what we're told. Maybe take in a few groceries, wash some clothes, pick some flowers, eat some candy. The details are all murky by this point. Anyway, Summer's allowed to go into the house. She's told to go on in, and her brothers are going to watch her for just a few minutes. And Mom will be right back. The story progressed from the garden into this basement and out of this door.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back.
Mom goes just a few feet away to Grandma's trailer. Seems harmless enough, right? But then, not even 2 minutes later, Mom says, she goes back home. She walks in and she asks the boys, have they seen Summer? Where's Summer? They said, downstairs, Mom. We told her she could go play with her toys.
I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
And she's never been seen again. What happened to Summer Wells?
I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here.
Personally, I think someone came up here and grabbed her and ran down the hill.
I think so
and
too.
threw her in a car and drove as far away as they could from this area.
We're exploring all avenues. So at this time, we can't confirm that. However, in the event that we do develop that information and confirm it was an abduction and have information to share, you will be the first to know. And we want to reassure the community that we will let them know immediately. That's information that we would want to get out to the public as quickly as possible.
110, 110 Big Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now. 110.
10-4 house, Madison. 335, I'll be around as well. And these guys, probably going to need extra help. They've got several major accidents. That's probably going to need extra also. 10-4. 29 minutes, so go ahead. Notify rescue. Fire police for search. You say when you got the original call that Bob went on a run and when you came back that Sandra was gone?
That's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
10-4.
10-4. You want us to try to contact Tina?
Let 302 know, and I think he's going to let rescue make that determination.
302 has been notified. He also wanted me to just remind you to be sure check the house camper, even if they've said they've already had.
Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request, search and rescue with Churchill Rescue Squad. Staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request from Churchill Rescue on a search and rescue. Staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Also requesting a respond with 6-wheeler and command trailer for space 1911.
Statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff.
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours. A lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI, the FBI assisting my office. We're jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. Our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation.
Absolutely. It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but it's what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and the different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And we're not like we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from media, you may text, we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply to it. The same way with the officers, and ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post. It should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved? Is there any history of this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Around 11 this morning, switched from missing child alert to Amber Alert. What goes into the decision of putting that Amber Alert out? Can you clarify that?
Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an amber.
And what was the difference?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An amber alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert.
It appeared to be that she walked away from the home. Why was it operating for an amber? Clarify that.
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the sheriff's office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an amber alert.
Well, when the amber alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Wallace had mentioned earlier that he's asking the community folks that you have enough resources here. What's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help us some, or how can they help us?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine. As long as we find Summer, that's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. If they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI-FIND. It all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
The FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together, and just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
More question.
Can you expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching? Maybe if people see something in a certain area, they should be on the heightened alert for a certain area or part of town.
Well, the terrain and stuff is like you see here. This is what people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
You got landmarks and sort of an area you're searching.
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house. Evidently, she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers or searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've brought the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's FLIR at night. They've been flying today, and it's just outstanding how the community's come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads, EMSs, and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TVI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
Before I turn it over to Captain Coop, I want to reiterate that there are two aspects of this investigation: the search and the investigation itself. You've heard a lot about the search because that's something we can elaborate on. What you haven't heard a lot about is what's happening outside of the search. Rest assured that agents and Hawkins County detectives are investigating this fully. All avenues are being explored. As of this afternoon, we've received approximately 85 tips. Agents and officers continue to follow up on each lead that comes in. At the same time, teams continue to search the area around Ben Hill Road for any sign of Summer. Captain Tim Coop is with the Churchill Rescue Squad. He's currently serving as the incident commander for ground search operations. He's going to talk about the status of the search and the specialized teams being utilized today.
Thank you, Leslie. Once again, I wish we could bringing you guys better news, but at this time, on the search side operations, we have no further new news. The following methods are continuing to be used today to try to locate Summer. Ground crews comprised of over 100 trained professionals, aerial and aviation being completed by helicopter and fixed-wing aircraft, multiple canines, and also utilizing a specialized advanced mapping. The following new methods of search being utilized today are dive teams, hazardous and extreme terrain search teams, subject matter experts. We have deployed the state TAC and radio system to increase radio coverage for search and law enforcement efforts. USAR, the urban search and rescue teams, and also have deployed state and federal resources. At this time, we have a total of 41 agencies involved in being represented in the search for SUMMERWELLS. We have, at the completion of search efforts as of yesterday, the 17th, we have covered 688 acres of ground of extreme terrain. We're on the track to completing a total of 1,000 acres of land covered thoroughly by the completion of today's search efforts. Once again, as we have stated, we are still experiencing steep and dangerous terrain, which causes our teams to become exhausted very quick. We are and will continue to work with and alongside local, state, and federal search and law enforcement agencies to locate SUMMERWELLS, which is our ultimate mission to complete. Thank you. I'll now hand it over to Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for coming. We are amazed at the amount of attention this has. A lot of it because of you all, but we are monitoring all social medias. We are just overwhelmed with the support of the community. I've been in law enforcement almost 44 years, and I've never seen an outpour of a community supporting any other cause because they know it's all about finding Summer. We have a lot of people praying. We have a lot of people with boots on the ground. And just like Leslie said, we have 2 investigations going. And I can assure you that the investigation on part of law enforcement is extremely intense. It's just like the boots on the ground and all the searching is going on, coordinated by Captain here. It's very hard. The volunteers are great. And we really don't need the general public As the captain said, we got trained professionals in the woods. We know exactly where they are, how they're doing. They check on them routinely. We know how many's out there, who's out there, and we know when they come back. If the general public helps, then we will not know they're out there and we could lose somebody else. We're still wanting people to call 1-800-TBI-FINE for information, any they have. And like I said yesterday, everything's on the table. We're trying to find exactly what happened to this young lady, and we're not going to stop until we find her.
Does anybody have any questions? We'll take a couple.
Yes, I have a question for Captain Coop. In speaking with dive teams, what are you guys actually doing with that? Is that searching ponds, creeks, lakes? Could you just elaborate a little bit more on what that search looks like? You talked about ground material.
Yes. So our specialized teams, as I spoke on, the USAR, the dive teams, as both Sheriff Roy Lawson and Leslie spoke, we are pursuing every avenue. We're covering every ground cover. We're covering every aspect. At the end of it, if we don't cover it, we have to cover everything 100%. We're utilizing them just to clear waterways, areas that we can't put our normal people into, the canines and stuff that aerial cannot see that well. We want to get in there, flip every rock, check every crevice, check every spot, just to make sure we don't miss a spot.
Are there a lot of streams back in this area or ponds?
Yes.
Can you give us, I know we can kind of see some of the lush vegetation and what's happening in the sky, but what's it like back there for you all?
Yes, there are numerous streams and creeks that run back out of the mountains on both sides of Beach Creek Road, along with Beach Creek itself. And there are lots of ponds, holding spots for livestock and other things that we feel are just as important as the rest of the search efforts.
Sheriff, I have a question for you during this time.
Actually, we've done a tremendous amount of searches, and every one has been a consent search. The community has really stood out. They want to help. They want to give advice. They want to give information. And we've not had to obtain not one search warrant. And it due part that everybody in the community is wanting to find something.
And Leslie, I know you talk about credible tips. Can you kind of go into what is a credible tip?
If you have information about Summer, if you saw Summer the day she went missing, anything like that, if you captured a photo on a trail camera or surveillance camera, that's a credible tip. Anything that would assist us. Something you see on social media that you know is somebody's opinion or just speculation, that's not a credible tip. In fact, that just bogs law enforcement down by having we have to go through and check that information and then mark it off. So please, credible tips, we welcome information, but just don't share speculation and rumors that you see on social media.
I have a question. I'm kind of reluctant to ask it, but is there a point in this search when you all will come to the conclusion that this is not a lost child anymore, this is possibly an abduction? Is there a amount of time or amount of territory?
Well, at this time, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance are very much under investigation. So currently, it's an active and ongoing investigation. We're not going to stop until we determine what happened to her, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
What has the interaction been like with the child's parents? I know that they've spoken with us on and off the record about interactions with law enforcement, mentioning polygraph kits and so forth. Can you speak to us a little bit about the interactions with the parents and how they've helped or not helped with the investigation?
All I can say in that aspect is that they're currently cooperating.
When we also spoke with Mr. Wells, you mentioned somebody being followed up on local sex offenders as well as people in this area who talk about drugs. Can you confirm those details about those things happening?
I cannot. I can just tell you that any information we have, any lead that comes in, we're going to follow up on that, and all avenues are being explored.
How are crews feeling right now? Again, back to Captain Coop and Sheriff Lawson. How are they handling this right now, especially with we've kind of seen an increase in temperature outside?
So, as stated before, the outpouring of community and businesses in this area, they are very limited on the time. Once they get certain areas covered, they are being required to come back to the command post and staging area to rehab. plenty of water, Powerade, Gatorade, food, protein bars, stuff to keep them hydrated and nourished during this whole entire time. And as one stated before I left, they are also 100% involved. They said we will not stop.
As far as the law enforcement aspect, you know, we have the TBI system in my office and the FBI, and it's a partnership and a joint operation where if somebody comes in with a tip, just whichever agent standing there, whichever officer, whether it's mine, one of the TBI or FBI agents, if they jump on it, it doesn't matter who solves the case, whatever, we just want to find Summer. That's first and foremost.
One more question.
I actually have one last question regarding something that the father told us yesterday. He was saying that she would never leave their hill where they live, and he highly believes that this is an abduction. Is there anything that you can say that maybe could point to that? He mentioned something about the canine going along a trail that runs dead. So is there anything that you guys have seen that proves this, or is there any sign that that may be true?
We're exploring all avenues, so at this time we can't confirm that. However, in the event that we do develop that information and confirm it was an abduction and have information to share, you will be the first to know. And we want to reassure the community that we will let them know immediately. That's information that we would want to get out to the public as quickly as possible. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. We'll continue to update you as updates become available. Thank you.
Shall we continue? Yeah. Let's.
We'll puck it inside the WVLT Now desk. I'll take just a couple of moments to let more folks get on this Facebook Live, and then we'll break down what we know to this hour about the missing 5-year-old girl out of remote Hawkins County, SUMMERWELLS, as well as new development in the situation as far as hearing for the first time from Summer's family. So the most recent development in this situation, in the search for this 5-year-old little girl, is her father, Don Wells, released a statement to our CBS affiliate out of Johnson City, WJHL. This is the first communication any sources of the media have had from the family of Summer Wells. Don Wells, again, the father of this little 5-year-old girl, released a written statement to the CBS affiliate in Johnson City saying, in part, quote, "She would never leave our hill." He continued on in that written statement to say that he believes that she was kidnapped. A lot of what's been going on in remote Hawkins County for the past 2 days has been searching high and low for Summer Wells. They were actually in a news conference today, said that they had just gotten to a mile radius in their search area of where they are beginning to search for this young 5-year-old. The problems that they are having in this search process for, again, Summer Wells, who you see right now, is it is so remote and the terrain is so steep and so difficult to deal with that they're having to be extremely careful in what they do and the process in which they do it. Search crews are actually, for the most part, stopping their search at 8 p.m. every night. Now, that doesn't mean that they just cut everything off and won't search until the next morning. They just stop it at 8 p.m. unless they get a credible tip that they have to search, and then they go back with these trained crews. There are 19 crews in remote Hawkins County right now searching for Summer Wells. Officials won't let anyone near the family's house. There's been a sheriff's deputy's car parked right at the foot of their driveway the entire time. When our crews on scene have tried to get video footage of that, they've directed us away, saying strictly that they were under directions from their boss not to let us near that home. Again, the father issuing a statement tonight saying he believes his daughter was kidnapped. Says there's no evidence to support that, but quote, that she would never leave our hill.
Just telling us kind of what you've been feeling the last few days in the search for Summer. Can you just, let us know what you and your family are experiencing at this time?
We really appreciate that outpouring of love, and we've never seen so many good people in one place. We just really appreciate everybody trying to help that they have, law enforcement and all these volunteers that are here. Never seen anything like this in my entire life. Just pray that God, His awesome power, for His name's sake, that Summer be okay. And please come home.
I can't imagine how you've been feeling these past couple days.
It's been rough, but we believe in resurrection. Never seen so many Christians in one place in my life. Like I say, that's pretty awesome to see that. I just hope God in His mercies will deliver someone home to us.
Pretty unlikely for something for her to do, to walk off like that.
Yeah, she wouldn't do that. We even had one of our neighbors say they pulled up in the driveway and she ran to the door. So we warn her all the time. There's bears and other things that we try to warn our kids about all these things all the time.
And can you tell us a little bit, what Summer was doing that afternoon or that evening?
She was planting flowers with her mother and her grandmother, and she wanted to go into the house. So my wife watched her go into the door, and she went into the house, and the boys were on the internet, of course, and she wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys. So when her mother come in, she says, "Where's Summer?" She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there, and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
And so then the boys, just when she walked in the house, what about time was that?
I'm not sure. 5:36. I'm not sure.
Not knowing what happened, do you have any kind of a gut feeling about it? Do you have any kind of instinct feeling about it?
I wish I did. Some bad person grabbed her, but we have no idea that the FBI and the police have covered every single base, everything that anybody can think of, they've covered.
What would you say to people, as you're searching, what are you asking from other people? I know there's so many prayers coming out right now. Is there anything else you want to ask of the community and the public?
I just want to thank everybody for the outpouring of love. That's all.
Is there anything that you'd like to add that maybe we didn't ask you, or?
Not that I can think of, sir.
Have they told you about what they might be trying to do today specifically? Or?
They're still searching. They're doing everything they can. They're doing every single thing they can. We've tried to, we try to go to them with other leads and stuff. They're like, we already checked all that out. And, the sex offenders, they've checked all them. Anything that we can cover, they've already covered almost probably every base that they can. We're trying to think and beat our brains out. They've covered everything that we can think of already.
Are they asking anything of you other than just people that you might suspect or, situations you might suspect?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm at work all the time. Candace was on one side of the house when she got gone. Not even, 50, 60 feet away. We know she wouldn't leave the property. There's no way she would do that.
Have you ever seen anyone in the neighborhood that doesn't belong?
Well, there are, people that come through there looking for drugs in the area, and that's probably with any place, but they've checked all them things out too. They've got a hold of everybody. They've tracked everybody down that they possibly can. They've covered all the bases that they can.
Are you all from this area?
I'm originally from Utah, but I come out here to help my mother, and I've been here on and off for the past 25 years or 30 years or 40, I don't know, but yeah.
So, then we heard this.
I would be interested in knowing what happened that day. I know it's going to be hard for me to have to relive, but... Well, sir, I was at work, but from what my wife has told me and stuff,
her and her mother and Summer were planting flowers by her grandma's trailer, which is about, 20 feet from the house there, real close to the house. And Summer all of a sudden said, "Mom, I want to go in the house." So she said, "Fine." And her brothers were in there watching YouTube. And so she watched her walk in the door and went in there. And then she went in there, and her brother said that she was going to go downstairs and play with her toys. So she went downstairs, and then Mom come in and says, "Where's Summer?" Well, she's downstairs playing with her toys. And they hollered for her, and there was no answer. So she went down the stairs, and she was nowhere to be found. She went out the basement door. The door was unlocked. But she's never left the area. She might be on the other side of the house, because I went out there before and called for her, and she come out from behind the house, because she just has to be outside. She's an outside type of person, But she was gone, buddy. And my wife called me, and I said, "Hang up for me and call 911 right now." And I was at work, and I called 911, threw all my tools that I could in the vehicle, and from Jonesboro, I come out. I made it out here before anybody, because I was freaking out, And when I got home, I drove to the bottom property, and I realized that all my neighbors and stuff were combing the woods looking for her, and I realized right then and there that she was not there. I knew right then and there that she was gone. I just, because she would never leave there on her own. Somebody had taken her out.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is she capable of going through? They've covered miles of area to search.
No, she would never leave, because for one thing, we have bears and wild dogs, and we got druggies that, come around other people's houses and stuff, all hours of the night. But this was like at 5:30 in the evening, which makes me think, someone was laying in wait. I've heard somebody say that these people track kids down on Facebook and find them, and I've heard that story. I mean, I don't know, but all I know is she's definitely not anywhere around there. I think somebody's abducted her and took her out of the area.
Wow. Well, have you noticed anybody suspicious?
No, and and they've done such a good job. They followed every single lead possible. They have tracked down all kinds of people. Yeah, they've tracked down everybody. They even, had me in there, lie detector test on the 9 yards.
They have to rule out every possibility.
Yes, absolutely. So it didn't bother me to do it whatsoever. I understand that. And a lot of times the parents are responsible.
It's the recent history that's been the case. Or like a family member.
Right, absolutely, yes. But we don't associate with all them people. We try to associate with church people and stuff like that, and Summers, they got a lot of friends in church that just love her to death,
Where do y'all go to church?
Seventh-day Adventist, sir, right across the street from Walmart, St. Kingsport.
Oh, okay.
We was going to the Baptist church, but when I found out the true Sabbath on Saturday, I wanted to go to a Saturday going church, so I thought I'd go check them out one time, and we've been there ever since.
Oh, wow. What have you all been doing while this has all been going on?
Just trying to cope. Just trying to cope with everything.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the police. I can't be alone right now for some reason, and so if I have to, I'll go down there and talk to the police and just hang out with them, because I just can't be alone right now. I don't know.
How are Summer's brothers doing?
They're coping with it better than me and their mother are, and I don't understand that, but I mean, when they really think about it, they're upset, but they're coping with it way better, especially the youngest one. It's like, I don't know, it's weird to me, but
it doesn't seem real to them.
Yeah. But me, you know, the most I've done is watch the news a little bit. I can't focus on nothing. Originally I'm from Utah, and I met my wife in Arkansas, and we come out here to help my mother because she got sick, and then she ended up dying from, I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, but she left us that property, and we've been there ever since.
Okay.
We've made Tennessee our home. There's a lot of good people here.
When did y'all move here?
Well, about 13 years ago from Arkansas. I was about to help my mother because she was in need.
So your kids, this has been their only home then?
Yes, sir.
Born and raised?
Yes, sir. Oh, except for my oldest one. He was born in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the rest, I think, the rest were all born here, yes.
And does your wife have a Wisconsin connection?
Yes. Well, her sister, my wife's sister come up missing, like, I don't remember how many years ago it was, but they never found no trace of her either.
Where was that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I never paid attention to any of that part of it.
Yeah. Do you know where she grew up in Wisconsin?
I sure don't. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I have a criminal history. I do, when I was in Utah, when I was younger, but I've turned my life around and doing my best to be a commandment keeper, for sure. Me and myself, they can do whatever they want to me as long as my kids are safe, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so what is your plan now? I mean, what is your outlook?
Well, my only plan now is just no matter what happens, either way, I'm stay in church, be a commandment keeper, and wait for the resurrection day, buddy.
Yeah.
That's all we can all do,
Do you have hope for Summer being found?
Well, I have hope, but statistically speaking, or looking at it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A tough thing to think about.
Well, yeah, of course. I'd feel for anybody in that position. I'm sure you would too.
Absolutely.
Any kid that's being tortured or hurt in any way, and missing their parents and their good friends in church and stuff like that. Just unimaginable what she's going through.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I pray for is for peace for her somehow. I wish she could have got to know Jesus better or something, but she's so young. She don't know what all that stuff means in church, but
I don't think God holds that against children.
Oh, no, not at all. I just wish she had peace of mind, that's all.
Yeah. Do you have any hope that this is all going to end well?
I have hope, buddy, but, you looked at the statistics of it all, I mean, through our church and other churches, the worldwide prayer, was going on for her, so, plus all the law enforcement agents are praying and everybody, we're just hoping that God will turn it around, somehow, some miraculous way, but,
Okay. All right, well, I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, and I really appreciate you talking to me.
You're fine, buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care, and I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for your family.
Thank you, sir. God bless, sir. Thank you.
She loves a lot of people, and a lot of people love her. We really appreciate what they've done. There's hundreds and hundreds of people out there, and they're trying their best to find her, and we really appreciate them very much.
He recalled the moment of terror he found out his daughter was missing.
And I come from work and drove home as fast as I possibly could and drove to the bottom of our property, and I seen my boys here walking around and my neighbors all looking and searching, and I knew right then that she was gone, because she don't never leave the property. by herself anyway.
And the search for Summer continues.
Bianca Murray spoke with Summer's father again today, a Father's Day spent without his little girl. Bianca, what did he have to say?
Kelly, Father's Day is supposed to be a celebration that families can enjoy. Well, Don Wells, Summer Wells' father, told me he just wants his daughter back. And unfortunately, he told me his wish goes ungranted this evening.
I think it's really tough on all the people out here that are missing Father's Day, and it's making them a little bit edgy, and we're a little bit edgy. My wife is real edgy, and it's getting tougher, I think, for everybody.
Since Summer went missing Tuesday night, Don Wells says the Department of Children's Services has helped their family work through the trauma, but he says Summer's brothers are not doing too well.
They're kind of fighting more than usual and stuff, and they got into it first thing this morning, and the team come up running up the hill. They heard screams, and so I've been trying to keep it down.
Summer's siblings aren't the only ones struggling. Her father tells me her mother is also worried about the 5-year-old little girl.
She'd be frantic. I mean, she's having a hard time, and she'll be okay for a little bit, and then, I mean, she's up and down.
This Father's Day, Wells tells me his worst fear has been realized.
Do you think at this point that she is still alive?
I really don't know. Hopefully, yes. Depending on how bad or what's going on with her. I mean, we hope, there's always hope.
Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, followed by Captain Tim Coop with the Churchill Rescue Squad. Summer is still missing, and we are more concerned than ever and desperate to find her. TBI agents continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI in an effort to determine what happened to Summer. We are utilizing all available resources to include the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. We want to reiterate that the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear, which is why we've been exploring all possibilities. Agents and detectives have followed up on a number of leads, to include residential surveillance video and photos from around the area of Summer's home. Drivers seen in the area at the time of her disappearance have been identified and interviewed. While we've not ruled out an abduction, we simply do not have any evidence at this point to confirm that's what occurred. For that reason, the ground search for Summer continues. It's possible that she wandered off and is lost and afraid. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson is going to talk more about what we need from property owners at this point. Sheriff?
Thank you. First of all, I want to let everyone know that what a big asset that Mount Carmel Baptist Church has been to us. They've opened their doors, their church, their fellowship hall, their land. As y'all see, this is a very remote area, and we would be in desperate trouble if we didn't have that place to set up our command post. With that said, we're using every available resource that we have, and today I want to use you all. I want the word to get out to all the residents in the Upper Beech Creek community, Hawkins County and Sullivan County. We need the residents to go back today, tonight, tomorrow, as soon as possible, and go back and check their entire property, any outbuildings, any barns, any place a child could hide. We desperately need you to do that for us. It's easier for you to check your own property than it is to send officers there. We have not stopped. As Captain will tell you, we've been 24/7 for 6 days now. So we desperately need help from the community now searching their own property. Any question? Okay, Captain.
Thank you, Sheriff. As both of them have stated, we will continue to search for Summer Wells until we locate Summer Wells. As of June 21st, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells will continue throughout the day and also the night. At this point, we have utilized 72 agencies from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups and canine teams have been represented from these multiple different agencies. To date, we have estimated approximately 2,400 acres have been searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems and slow the search operations at times. The search will continue Tuesday morning into Wednesday morning. An updated release will be issued as new information becomes available. And as stated before, if anyone has any information on the disappearance of Summer Wells, please contact Hawkins County Sheriff's Department and our 1-800-TBA-FIND. Thank you.
We'll open it up for a few questions at this time.
Just wondering, has Summer ever wandered off before?
According to family members, it's not common for her to wander off.
Saturday, there was a pretty extensive search into the evening. Can you elaborate on what that tip was and why there was such a large presence of crews to come back out?
Anytime we have information that could potentially lead us to locating Summer, we're going to use all resources. Crews were in the area following up on a lead. Unfortunately, Summer's still missing.
How is the changing weather impacting your search?
Sure, that's a great question. Captain Coop, can you explain?
So the projected forecast here for the next 24 to 48 hours will change our approach. It will not change our aggressive approach. The only thing that this will change, it will change maybe what terrain we approach at this time. Due to the severe thunderstorms, we can't put our teams in danger to turn around and maximize the situation. We are monitoring weather 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with live weather updates. We are also utilizing the National Weather Service, who calls us on a routine basis. If there's any type of weather that's approaching our immediate area, they have been more than helpful with notifying us in a very timely manner to allow us to know to we can plan on how we're going to approach these areas.
Talking about the weather, is there concern about some of these crews from other areas having to go back to their area to respond to storms there?
Speaking with some of these teams, especially the teams that have been coming out of state, traveling 4+ hours, they also have had to do what we've had to do is utilize as much resources as we can to find Summer Wells, but we still have to be able to cover our areas. So a lot of these people, they're still allowing people to stay back. When these crews from out of town then return, they'll swap out. Those crews will then monitor their areas and send us fresh crews, and we are doing the same thing for our resources here locally.
Do we know when the active search will potentially turn into a recovery mode instead of a potential rescue mode?
Let's elaborate on that.
We will address that at some point, but right now our focus remains on finding Summer. We're using all resources as of today, and we want that to be the focus right now.
This is a question more for maybe Leslie and Sheriff Lawson. You just mentioned that you have used some surveillance video, things that you had asked for earlier. Maybe can you elaborate what you saw in that surveillance video and how that might have helped you?
Well, as you know, and you guys helped us get the word out, we asked residents to let us know if they had surveillance cameras around their home or trail cameras. Residents have reached out. We've reviewed those photos and video, and if we identified a vehicle in the video, we would identify the driver and then speak with the driver to interview them to see if they had any information.
How long, when someone typically goes missing, how long does it take to find? Like, is this exceptionally long?
Every case is different. It's a case-by-case situation.
On day 6 now, for maybe the folks that are out there in the field, how are you keeping, I guess, morale and spirits high? How are, I'm sure folks are tired, they've been out here tirelessly for days on end now. How are you kind of keeping folks engaged and spirits up?
Ultimately, the people that's involved with the search operations we all have the same outlook. We will not quit until we find Summer Wells. So these guys have spent countless hours, day in, day out, nighttime. The thing that I stress with my guys is if you're getting to the point that you're getting tired, please take a break, get rest, rehab, recover. That way you can come back and continue to go stronger. It is a large family with law enforcement involved. We keep each other's spirits up. It's all a team effort. And to elaborate on it, lot of times, you guys being up here, you start seeing a lot of people leave at the evening time. At the evening time, it is too treacherous and too dangerous unless TBI or Sheriff's Department gets a lead that they need us to go help assist on. Too dangerous for us to keep our guys up in these mountains and this treacherous terrain at nighttime. But I want you guys to know and rest assured, along with the community, that search efforts do not stop when it gets dark. We have been utilizing fixed wing and aerial aviation to literally scan this area from the time it gets dark to the time that we return in the morning. It does not quit. They utilize multiple resources, FLIR, and other things to continually map this area and to continue the search for Summer Wells.
This is a question more for Sheriff Hawkins, or Lawson, I'm sorry. I know we've talked a lot about there's two different operations going on, Find Summer as well as the investigation. Is there more on the investigation side that you can tell us into anything that you've talked with family members or anyone who last saw her since we last spoke on Friday?
We've interviewed so many people in the community on the road, and we're still jointly working with TBI and the FBI, and everything is really going real well. We cover each other's tracks, go back and re-interview, and like Captain said, and Leslie, we're not going to stop till we find Summer.
How is her family doing? I mean, this is going into day 7. Tomorrow will be day 7 since their child has gone missing and no leads in this massive search operation. How is her family holding up? Have you spoken with her parents? How are they doing?
We've spoken with her parents. I can't speak for them. They spoke with you. They're being cooperative. Of course, they're upset. So we continue to keep them updated and do whatever possible we can to find Summer. And we just ask everyone in the community, especially those of you who have any tidbit of information that you haven't shared, to please come forward. Her family asks that as well.
And last week you also talked a little bit about speculation and social media rumors. Has that continued to get worse over the weekend, and is that continuing to maybe even cause hindrances?
Sure, it's always a battle. We ask residents with credible information to call 1-800-TBI-FIND and submit tips through that avenue. We find that we're receiving a lot of tips that is a screenshot from Facebook. It's an opinion or speculation. That's not a credible tip, and it just bogs down the system, as I've mentioned before. So please only share credible information. Someone's opinion or idea on Facebook is not a credible tip. Did you have a question?
I was going to ask.
Okay.
Has the family been ruled out? I know they said that they understood you investigating them and interviewing them. Have they been ruled out at this time, or are you still looking?
As we've said time and time again, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance are very much under investigation. And at this time, we continue to explore all possibilities. Okay, thanks for coming, guys. We appreciate the continuing coverage. We appreciate the community and all their support. And again, I can't stress enough, anyone with information is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Thank you.
We still got our God, and we still, he's I mean, you know what I mean? He's got to put our faith and trust in him. He's the only one that knows where she's at. Right. Well, I guess I just wanted to ask a couple of quick questions about, since we last spoke, have there been any new developments or any changes in No, not at all. I saw where Friday night after sundown they called everybody back. Yeah, there was some sort of tip or something, and we seen, blue lights up and down Beach Creek, and the helicopter flew till like 4 in the morning, looking around, so we was up till 4 in the morning being hopeful that they, find something, but there's nothing. Yeah. My personal opinion is it's maybe some human trafficking ring seen her on Facebook and tracked her down, like some kind of, that somebody is taking her out of the area, and I don't know whether a human trafficking ring or what or who, but I mean, I knew from the first day she wasn't in the area, right? Did you guys go to church on Saturday? Yes, sir. What was that like? Did you guys, this is the first time you've been back since this happened. Yeah, when we first, we got there at 9 o'clock, and they had a vigil for Summer, and they had all kind of pictures up on the screen, and when Summer run around that whole church, and visited everybody. And so when we first went in there, we both broke down, of course. Me and my wife broke down, and we had to go outside. But they've been very supportive, of course, and everybody has. Law enforcement's been very supportive and very good to us. But yeah, it was just missing Summer. I wish she could be there. Yeah, the thoughts of her not being able to be there with us and with the people that she loves so much, it was heartbreaking. Right?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I was just going to see. One thing I neglected to ask you last time we spoke was just, can you tell me a little bit about Summer? What kind of a child is she? What is she like?
Well, I have a video, and it's on TikTok, that the last video that my wife made of her, and she's got a couple more, and I really like to share them with the public. Okay, but I don't know how to do that.
You could. Are we allowed to go up to your house now?
No, but I could get her maybe to meet you at the church, but she don't want to do no interviews because everybody's turning this into, I don't know if you guys have been reading Facebook, stuff like that, but there's some pretty negative stuff on there. And they're calling her the Boswell something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it's pretty bad.
I guess, that's another thing I was going to ask you is and I don't think that the media has been disrespectful, and I have tried not to be. But I know that in this age of social media, which we're probably close to the same age, and we didn't grow up like this, but in this age of social media, everybody can get online and say anything they want. And I was just wondering how that has affected you and your family. Are you trying to stay away from it, or have you read it?
My wife can't help us to be on there because she's looking for clues. Yeah. She can't help it. Right. But this negativity, is tearing her apart, and that's why she don't want to do any interviews, because she's afraid they lash out on her even more.
Yeah. I don't follow it as close as I should. What kind of things are they saying?
They're calling her I can't remember, the Boswell something, but I can't remember what it was. They're comparing her to that, and just all kind of negative stuff.
How does that make you feel when you see that kind of stuff?
Well, to me, I just hang on to what good people say. I don't listen. We've been dealing with, even in Tucker Drywall, we deal with all kinds, and and of course I've been to prison. I try to be around good people. I listen to what they say and what God says. The rest of them can, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's got to be hard on your wife, though, to have to see that stuff.
She's not taking it well. She's having a hard time. She's up and down, and then, she really is. She needs some support, and of course, they're not. Our church members try to come up there, and they're just not letting anybody up there.
Right. And I guess you guys are. I don't know what that road looks like, but if it's anything like where I grew up, it's pretty spread out up a holler. Not a lot of close neighbors to talk to.
They've been all through there with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
Several times over. She's not in the area.
Yeah. I just can't imagine who would be bold enough to go up a holler, a blind holler that, unless they had done some research or something and knew what they were looking for. And then have to time it right. It just seems, it's hard to believe that something like that can happen.
Well, to be someone pretty desperate for money or whatever, or I don't know what their angle is, but they would be pretty desperate.
Well, I guess, how are the kids doing? How are your sons doing?
It seems like they handle it better for some odd reason that I don't understand. My oldest boy, though, he'll stop from time to time and say he misses his sister, stuff. But, your mind has a way of forgetting every now and then. I find myself doing it too. Every now and then but then it comes flooding all back, of course,
do you remember what your last memory was of Summer? What you all were doing?
Probably the night before, she wanted to twirl. She wanted me to. I just hold her my hand while she twirled, because that's what she considered herself a ballerina or a princess kind of thing. 5 years old.
Yeah. She likes to dance. I saw that video of her dancing in the rain. That was real cute.
That's the video I was wanting to get out. She asked if at all possible.
Okay.
I'd like everybody to see that.
Are you working today?
I'm trying to. I'm here talking with my employers now. Yeah.
I don't see how you could. I wouldn't be able to work under these circumstances. It's too much.
Yeah, it is. It's too much, but I'm just trying to have hope and faith in God that He knows all things and that He will protect her. Is my hope and prayer.
Yeah.
Wherever she's at, and that He will turn it all around someday. To glorify His name. That's what my prayer is. I mean, Daniel was led into captivity, and I don't know. He trusted in God the whole way, all the way through it all. Even to the point of being put into the fiery furnace. Right? He was willing to do that for his God, and that's the only thing I can, lean to is people like him, and maybe she's got enough experience in the church that she'll never forget it, and maybe that will lead her back home someday. That's my prayer.
Was there anything that was said at church or any kind of fellowship that gave you a little bit of comfort on Saturday?
Oh yeah, all kind of stuff like that. Yes, sir. I can't remember specifically, but just I don't know, just having good people there for you. It's a comfort. People willing to talk to you. That's the main thing.
Right.
All I can do is put it in God's hands a little.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's all I was going to ask you about, unless there's something else that you wanted the public to know about what's going on.
No, just
does your family need anything? Because I know it's probably hard for you to get out and get necessities and stuff.
No, we are absolutely fine as far as that goes. Everybody takes the searchers and the police, all kind of stuff, and they've been bringing us a lot of that stuff to our house. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. They've been really good.
Okay.
Really good. Just appreciate everybody for their efforts. That's all I really do. Because I know they're trying hard.
They really ramped it up this weekend, didn't they? They brought in a lot more people.
Yes. Yeah, and they're not stopping. They're not stopping. But I just, feel that she's not in the area, and they know that. But they still have to search.
I think, maybe they could find a clue or something too of who was out there. That might be another.
They're still looking for 2 more people of interest that have been through there.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What kind of people are those?
I have no idea for sure. And a lot of this might be speculation, because I tried to ask them about it, and they just say we're looking into it. Just hang on. And they won't give them any information to higher ups. And I can't. I try to help and everything, and I can't do nothing that they ain't doing already.
Right. Okay. Well, I continue to pray for you, and my wife prays for you. We know this has got to be the most horrible time, and it's just it's unimaginable.
Still 2 aspects of this case: the active search and the investigation. You'll hear more about the search in just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear. I understand the lack of answers frustrates you in the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive calls 1-800-TBI-FIND. That means nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you. One point I want to make clear up, obviously, is a couple of days ago, I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, we don't know about it, and they're going to get missed when they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else that we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beech Creek, in Hawkins and Sullivan County, to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's being. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock, which helped at the same time that she was reported missing, to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see. Obviously, there's nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public that lives in this area will go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields. Now it's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. And if you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you. It's a cooperation that we must need, because I know some of the residents are probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now, and we're not done yet, because like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Yep.
Thank you, Sheriff. As of June 24th, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We have now utilized 106 agencies spanning from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups with numerous canine teams have been represented from each of these agencies. To date, we have covered over 4.6 square miles, with that being over 3,000 acres being searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems. This has slowed search operations down in these areas, but please be rest assured, while incurring these conditions, we are still searching with an aggressive approach with extreme attention to detail. These terrains and conditions have exhausted crews both physically and mentally. We are still utilizing local and regional resources, but have had to call upon and utilize resources from Middle and West Tennessee, along with out-of-state resources, to bring a fresh set of eyes and rested bodies into the search operations. Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for summer whales. We will continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI until we find summer whales. As mentioned before, as Sheriff here mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beach Creek community, and even if you branch out a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for an adult laying there. You're not looking for an adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go. This is also the reason why we are exhausting all efforts. This train, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find summer whales. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Have you searched some of these areas over and over again numerous times, some of these fields and things like that?
Absolutely. Captain, can you answer that question?
Yes, so over these 4.6 square miles, and I'll kind of elaborate on some of these specialized teams. There's some of these areas, guys, we have covered 4, 5, and 6 times. And we have community members, media outlets reaching out going, well, we have neighbors saying you're covering the same ground. We are. New ground, same ground, different eyes, fresh bodies. Guys, one flat looking field, there's 100 places something could be hid, evidence, and or she could be hid. So yes, we have covered multiple ground multiple times, and we'll continue to do so.
Captain Coop, I know some reward has been talked about. I know your agency, Churchill Rescue Squad, is apparently in charge of that. Can you give us some details on what the reward looks like right now?
Yes, so there has been some people that have reached out to our agency, reached out to TBI and the Sheriff's Department about providing reward money for information leading up to the finding and or recovery of summer whales. At this time, I can confirm that is correct and that our agency is working to get this account set up. Once this information is available, our agency will provide a media release with this information on how the general public can also give money for this. But at the same point in time, guys, we're running on limited resources, and we're trying everything we can do that without interfering with the search for summer whales.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe summer whales is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out hope, doing everything we can. Obviously, we typically would have found a child at this stage in the investigation, so honestly, we just don't know.
How many tips has the TBI received?
I don't have the exact number with me, but it's well over 300 at this point.
I know we've all spoken with the family and then talked about sort of what led up to that missing incident here. Can you just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing that Tuesday night?
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home. When her mother went to check on her, she was not in the house.
Sheriff, I know you mentioned before that you haven't had to obtain any search warrants. Is that still the case?
My office has not obtained any search warrants, and I really don't know if the other agencies has. I've been coordinating with the captain here and the investigators. They're all working together, and we haven't briefed each other this afternoon.
What about lie detector tests? Has anybody been given those?
I think she can address this.
Well, it's no secret that the TBI has a polygraph unit. We don't discuss specifics, but I can tell you that we use that as an investigative tool. in a situation like this, we're going to use every resource and tool available to us.
There's been billboards seen in Myrtle Beach. Are you guys aware of that? And has the search taken you guys even out of state to some extent?
We follow up on all leads that come in, even if they're out of state. We have received some tips from other states, but they didn't prove to be credible leads. We are aware of the billboards. That's not something the TBI coordinates, but we appreciate the effort.
Leslie, are cadaver dogs being used as part of the canine team being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No law enforcement outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Speaking of the command post, we have noticed some larger FBI presence as well, including like an FBI, I believe it's called a card team. Could you just elaborate a little bit on their role in this investigation? What do they do?
They're just another resource available. Now, I would refer you to the FBI for specifics on what that team does, but they specialize in missing children cases. And again, we're using all resources available. They've been here since last weekend, and we were in communication with them before last weekend. So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10. Do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1, Tuesday night?
We don't. We still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what happened to her, and it's extremely frustrating. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. The sheriff has worked around the clock. His team's worked around the clock. The search crews, TBI agents, FBI agents, we're doing everything we can to find her, but to not have any more answers than we do at this stage, it's just heartbreaking.
Have you been able to narrow down the timeline anymore when she was missing?
Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing.
How many hours would you say?
I don't have that information.
Question for Captain or Sheriff. What's the biggest obstacle standing in your way? Is it the heat? Is it just the fatigue? Is it the terrain? What do you think is the number one thing that's hurting you guys in this investigation?
To say hurting this investigation on my aspect of things, nothing's hurting us. We encounter difficult situations so far, and we overcome them situations. From here on out, it is going to be providing our team the rest and assurance to make sure that we can provide more and more fresh-bodied, fresh eyes to be able to come in and help search for SUMMERWELLS.
As far as my office, it's been pretty hard because my office don't stop. We're still answering calls, still doing investigations that come in, and we're still running the jail, but I'm alternating the officers out. And like's been said, everyone at the command post been there this week, everyone now is getting mentally and physically and emotionally just drained. And we're gonna have to rehab and start back again, but we're not gonna stop, we're gonna find something.
Is there anything the community can do to help you guys at this point? I know that everyone's been bringing food and water and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you guys need?
Actually, I think they've done everything they possibly could. We've even getting fresh home-cooked meals from churches and things brought in, and we have meals for all the officers and searchers and investigators, but enormous outpour of support shown by this community and actually people here in East Tennessee. We're very pleased.
Hey guys, thank you for coming out. I know a couple of you had questions asking why we are not having daily media briefings. The simple answer is we just haven't had any new information to provide. But just because we don't have a briefing doesn't mean that you can't reach out to us and ask any questions you may have. And of course, we are going to continue to post updates on Twitter and the TBI Facebook page. And feel free to check with us if you have any additional questions or need clarification. Thank you. Take care.
New this morning, a change is in the works after nearly 2 weeks of intense searching for Summer Wells.
The 5-year-old is still missing out of Northeast Tennessee, and now those search efforts are being scaled back. News Channel 5's Nick Barris live for us from the 5 Alert Center with the reasoning behind this decision. Nick, what have you learned?
All right, good morning to you both. I can tell you that clearly the Amber Alert remains in effect this morning, and no one is giving up. But what's happening now, is a reality in searches like this when no trace of the child has been found after more than 2 weeks. Now, Tuesday will mark that time period since Summer Wells disappeared from her home, that in Hawkins County. Now, crews from more than 100 agencies in 5 states have helped in the search, but now the incident commander says they will, yes, be scaling back some operations. Searchers are said to be physically and mentally exhausted from the rough terrain and extreme conditions. And there is, of course, that frustration that to date they have yet to find any trace of the little girl within a 6-mile or so search radius from there around the home. So the effort, yes, it's going to continue, but they're going to be drawing on new resources from Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee, as well as other states. The idea, quote from the incident commander, is to bring a fresh set of eyes and some rested bodies, Ben.
Nick, I'm going to just take it from here. Does this also signal a shift in the investigation?
I think that exactly is the case here. Authorities are considering more now that Summer did not actually just wander off on her own into the woods, but may indeed have been abducted or met with some type of foul play. To that end, I can tell you that the FBI has now brought in its child abduction rapid deployment team. These CARD teams consist basically of highly trained experts in intelligence analysis and behavioral profiling, which you have to assume is going to be looking at the possibility of foul play.
Also, new information from the TBI this weekend. Officials are looking for the driver of a Toyota pickup truck who was seen in the Beach Creek community either Monday or Tuesday of last week. The pickup is possibly a 1998 to 2000 model maroon or red Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack. They're looking to speak with the driver and want to stress that they are not a suspect but could be a potential witness.
So they scaled back, and YouTube turned up the pressure. Don and Candace started showing up here and there, acting a fool. But all the stories and theories started flying around. So now that we've gotten through the legalities and the facts of the matter and the overall story, let's go down the rabbit hole.
This was like at 5:30 in the evening, which makes me think, someone was laying in wait. I've heard somebody say that these people track kids down on Facebook and find them, and I've heard that story. I mean, I don't know, but all I know is she's definitely not anywhere around there. I think somebody's abducted her and took her out of the area.
So Don, Facebook told you this, basically, is what you're saying, right? Facebook said that people watch these kids and they come find them in desolate areas and come onto private property in a rural area and snatch kids from their own basement when their mom and grandmother are 20 feet away planting flowers outside. This is what you're telling us. Do you realize what you're saying? Like, this is not something to play with. If your child is really in danger of child sex trafficking, do you understand? And some people think that you're not as smart as I think you are. Not a genius, but you think you're pretty slick. If this is really happening to your child, all the prayers in the world are not going to save you if you're covering up or withholding information. So Don woke up thinking, Moderna. This is the city of Moderna in Mexico City. The little park. First thing you kind of see when you check out Moderna, which is off-putting. I was doing some research, and just up the road right here a place called Katy. And as of 1 day ago, the Katy Times is reporting human trafficking is still a concern. I thought that was interesting. I'll read into that some more soon, but something else I just want to look at. This was in the last 2 weeks. Mexico City. U.S. agrees to create task force to fight human trafficking. So that tells me there's a lot going on in the way of human trafficking in Mexico City. Not too far from this place that Don just dreamt about. That almost none of us had even heard about before. Even the vice president has gone down to the area. According to Mexican authorities, minors especially are prey for human traffickers who profit from irregular migration. The other thing that I'm noticing is that although it's in regards to human trafficking, it all is attached to the cartel and drugs. And we know who likes drugs. Sorry, yes, I said it. We do, right? I'm just trying to figure out, what are you talking about, Don? You said it. This is now the second largest revenue generating industry in the nation. We are talking about human trafficking. Unbelievable. The second largest revenue generating industry in the nation. My God. And this is Moderna. Right in Katie's backyard. Right there. I don't know, Don, but you know way too much about sex trafficking, man. And sexual abuse and predators and the laws and the ages. You know too much. And I'm inclined to finally believe some of the words coming out your mouth when you said Moderna. I don't want to butcher the name, but it looks like MsQsNews. Pardon me if that is not pronounced correctly, but what is correct is that it's within an hour of Moderna. An hour away. Keep that in mind. We're still rolling through Mexico City. This one I pronounce Sinaloa. And as we can see, right up the road from Moderna. 22 minutes away. Right up the road here. Sinaloa. Keep it in mind. Tamaulipas. 32 minutes away from Moderna. Why are all these cities important to me? Because Moderna is here. And they are literally surrounding the area. So, you could literally go to all these places in Mexico City in 2 hours and 29 minutes. Start right here. It all starts right here in Moderna. I don't know. He said it was repeating over and over in his mind. I feel like it was 3 times. Moderna. Small city in Mexico City. Not a lot going on in Moderna itself that I can find, and I tried. It doesn't seem like the safest place in the world, that's for sure. Pickpocketing and things like that. But the trafficking is surrounding that city. I mean, everywhere you look. And there's other cities that are on the list. And let me tell you about this list. Just to point out, see the dots? The open circles, I should say. These are all the cities that we just looked into. You guys, look how close they are to Moderna. I'm not saying Summer's there. But I'm saying something is. This place means something. It was too random to ignore, if that makes sense. Very random. Very much could have been just deflection. But it also could have some truth in that lie. Look at all these places surrounding the area he mentioned that are known. The reason why I pulled these cities up is because of this. Checking out the travel guide for Mexico City, and I was told specifically, do not travel to Colima State, Guerrero State, Michoacan State, Sinaloa State. Sorry if those are pronounced wrong. I don't know Mexico City well, but what I'm learning right now is there's a lot of crime and kidnapping in that area. A lot of crime and a lot of kidnapping surrounding the place that Don Wells just had to mention to us. And I want to know why. Crime and kidnapping. Why would you have a dream when you're looking for your daughter? Been missing 10 days. And wake up shouting out a name of a city across the water, over borders, that's surrounded by an area that's just crime and kidnapping. I don't know. Do you? I mean, what's the deal? Are we, or I will say we, but of course you guys know I'm going to stick to my guns until I feel differently. But are we believing that he just threw this out there randomly? Or do we think there's merit? It just blows me away. He's just all too familiar with unfamiliar things, if that makes sense. But how did he know? Why did he know? What most people think they know about child sex trafficking generally involves stories. Young girls and boys being kidnapped by strangers, forced into windowless vans, and then driven to another city or state where they are kept, drugged, and chained in a brothel. While situations like these do exist, they are more of an exception than the rule. A study analyzing press releases and online media reports from over a 9-year period found that fewer than 10% of cases involved kidnapping. The rest were far more complicated, far less Hollywood. The danger of these misconceptions is that while we are on high alert for the windowless vans and teaching our children about stranger danger, we may well be missing out on what's really going on. There is still a tremendous amount to learn about human trafficking in the United States, and far more data and research is needed. But what we do know is a great deal about how victims, particularly young people, are lured into trafficking situations. Traffickers tend to prey on people who are economically or socially vulnerable, such as youth who are living in poverty or on the streets or experiencing physical or sexual abuse or addiction. They pose as a friend, offering meals, gifts, or just a sympathetic ear. In some cases, traffickers may use another young person to befriend and recruit their victims. This recruitment can happen in public places such as malls or sporting events, as well as online, through social media sites, or through false advertisements or promises about job opportunities that might appeal to young people, such as modeling or acting. Although runaway and homeless youth are particularly vulnerable, there are also several examples of victims who were groomed and recruited while living at home or even attending school. Using these methods, over time, the trafficker is no longer a stranger, but someone the victim knows and even trusts. With this trust in place, traffickers don't need to kidnap their victims. They can convince them to show up willingly. This perceived choice in the beginning often results in feelings of shame, guilt, or self-blame for victims and survivors who later try to leave their traffickers. It is also not uncommon for parents and family members to sell children for sex in exchange for money, drugs, or something of value. In these situations, the trafficker is already someone with proximity to the victim and knows enough about the victim to even isolate and manipulate them. Let me read that one more time. Just the bottom. Don't worry. Just this part. It is also not uncommon for parents and family members to sell children for sex in exchange for money, drugs, or something of value. In these situations, the trafficker is already someone with proximity to the victim and knows enough about the victim to even isolate and manipulate them. Don't get me started. Not right here, not right now. So Don, what happened now? What you think happened? This? Which part of it? You see, because it's bigger than just somebody takes a kid. There's a lot of moving parts to this whole abduction, human trafficking, sex trafficking, child sex trafficking. There's a lot going on there. But what are you saying, if it's true at all? Still points back to the household, to the family, to the friends, the association, to the bad choices. Let's keep rolling. So if there was an accident at the swimming hole, then we got to go back to the dry drowning theory. It says here, while drowning is the second leading cause of accidental death among children and fifth leading cause for all ages, dry drowning and secondary drowning are both extremely rare. Typically, these post-emergent respiratory syndromes only occur after a near-drowning incident. Let's talk about this.
A child doesn't act fine for 8 hours and then die from drowning. In some of these incidents, the child contracted aspiration pneumonia, an infection that develops from water trapped in the lungs. But that isn't drowning, Wernicke said. It's a rare condition, he added, and a child with it would show symptoms, including coughing and labored breathing many hours after leaving the water, and parents would know something was wrong. The confusion over these conditions led the Red Cross and other medical organizations to advise medical professionals not to use the misleading terms dry drowning and secondary drowning. Either you drown or you don't, said Dr. Charles Nozica, pediatric emergency medicine physician at Advocate Children's Hospital in Park Ridge.
So, to put that in a nutshell for you, it says this whole thing has totally been overhyped by social media and people who are not knowledgeable on the subject. Now, they're not saying it never happened. They're just saying it's not called dry drowning. That you can't take in water at one point and then just die later. If you're going to drown, you're drowning now. You're going to get so much fluid into your lungs that you can't get oxygen and you drown. That doesn't happen later. And if it does, they're saying it's very rare and that a child would present some symptoms, some coughing, some trouble breathing. It just doesn't just happen. So I kind of feel like we can rule out dry drowning. But, you know, it's possible. It's possible because it's happened. But Dr. Charles here says either you drown or you don't. And he is a pediatric emergency medicine physician at Advocate Children's Hospital in Park Ridge. Either you drown or you don't. So now we're talking about maybe an accident that didn't include water going into her lungs. It could have been a bump on the head. Could have been, I don't know. It could have been a lot of other things. But statistically, the chances are very slim that it was a dry drowning accident. So I definitely wanted to put that into the mix because it's one of the theories as to how she could have become deceased and be in that car that way. I don't think it was dry drowning. It seems that another term for dry drowning, two other terms, secondary drowning or delayed drowning. Again, it occurs when a child inhales even a small amount of water into the lungs. Water liquid gets into the lungs. It can cause inflammation and irritation, which makes breathing difficult. You don't just drop dead. There's signs, the coughing, the difficulty breathing, that lets you know something's going on. It says today doctors realize that a person can die even if a little bit of water enters their lungs. According to the Surface Medical Association, this amount may be as small as 2 millimeters of water per kilogram of body weight. Some researchers and doctors still occasionally use the term dry drowning. Remember, extremely rare. Drowning, however, not so rare, not at all. So maybe it was just a regular drown. I don't know where the rumor started that it was delayed. Maybe it happened right away and then the cover up began. Don't know. But I don't think it was secondary drowning or dry drowning or delayed drowning, in my opinion. And the doctors don't even think that it's common enough to even talk about. That's interesting. If a person is rescued before the brain runs out of oxygen, then the small amounts of water in the lungs is absorbed and causes no problems. Or it can cause excessive coughing that gets better or worse over the next few hours. The treatment is the same regardless of whether small amounts of water, wet, are present or not, dry. Dr. Groen says. There are signs for dry drowning, and it takes time. So now let's look at some other statistics and theories. Because filicide is a real thing. Parents that kill their children is a real thing. On average, 12,175 children 0 to 19 years of age died each year in the United States from an unintentional injury. Now, even though I just mentioned filicide, I'm just showing statistics on accidental deaths because they happen. The problem starts when you don't call 911 immediately, regardless of how bad it is, how guilty you feel, whatever the case may be. 911 and take the negligent charges, but don't go for murder, kidnapping, abduction. Just don't. You don't have to do all of that. Again, we can see drowning is the leading cause of unintentional injury-related death among children ages 1 through 4. We're at a lake. I mean, yeah, maybe you turned your head to do something else inappropriate with that child that you took out there with you, and she drowned. It is possible. But what happened next? Nobody wants to continue the story. It's just the flowers, the basement, it doesn't add up. Y'all gotta go back into the lab, come back out with something better. Now, I found this article from back in 2005 in the WebMD Parenting Archives. It says, next to your car, your home may be one of the most dangerous places for your child. And we know that we were told when Summer got home, they went and planted a garden, she got candy, and then Mom sent her inside with the other minors and told them to watch her. I'll be back. 2 minutes later, she allegedly came back. Summer had gone down to the basement and she was gone, okay? So, that means they were in the home. And from what I'm seeing here, of the more than 5,100 unintentional injuries that happened each year in a known location, more than half, 55% of the injuries happened at home. So more statistics that point towards home and the family. It could happen when they got home. Since she was being watched by children, who knows what could have happened? Wrestle a little bit, she bumped her head, fell down the stairs, or worse. But more than half, 55% of the injuries happened at home out of 5,100. More than half. Way, way more common than a dry drowning. But what happened, Candace? Donald, the other Candace, boys, what happened? Which one of all these things happened, really happened? So again, we're looking at all the theories, possibilities, speculations, opinions, whatever we may want to call them. You can see the screen. We're going to talk about death. First, I just want to share some information So, what are the 4 post-mortem stages of death? We have pallor mortis, algor mortis, rigor mortis, and livor mortis. Once death occurs in a body, it undergoes a series of changes that occur in a timely and orderly manner. Death is one of the most fundamental facts of life. After we die, there are 4 stages of changes that occur in the body. They are used primarily to determine the time of death or postmortem index, PMI, in forensic pathology. Most of us are probably familiar with these signs, even though we might not know the technical terms for them.
Forensic scientists calculate the time of death using many techniques. Their first go-to method is to study the physical changes that happen in the body after death. There are 4 post-mortem signs that tell a great deal about time of death. These are physical observable changes that occur in the body in the first 24 to 48 hours after the heart stops beating and the nervous system shuts down.
Let's start with pallor mortis.
The first sign, pallor mortis. As the heart stops beating, the circulation of blood throughout the body decreases. The organs farther away from the heart, like the skin, stop receiving blood. This gives a corpse the pale, lifeless appearance that we associate with death. This paleness, which appears 15 to 30 minutes after death, is called pallor mortis. It is one of the first identifiable signs of death.
Let's pause that for just a moment. So pallor mortis. Basically, you're going to turn pale. That is the first sign. What about algor mortis, stage 2?
The second sign, algor mortis. Humans are homeothermic, which means that we maintain a constant internal body temperature. This constant average temperature is maintained by balancing the heat produced in the body with the heat lost. The circulatory system is an important mechanism by which humans maintain an average internal temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. Heat is produced primarily through the various metabolic reactions happening in our body. This produced heat is dissipated from deeper organs, such as the liver and brain, to the outer parts, such as the skin, through the movement of blood. Under the first layer of skin, the epidermis, lies a network of capillaries. These capillaries allow heat produced by the body to be released into the air. Without the heart beating, blood cannot distribute heat and regulate body temperature. This leads to the body temperature reaching equilibrium with the external temperature. If the temperature is less than 37 degrees Celsius outside in the first hour after death, then the temperature of the body will decrease by 2 degrees and then continue to decrease by 1 degree every hour. Algor mortis is not an accurate way to back calculate the time of death, however, as it varies based on external conditions, such as weather, and is affected by whether the corpse was wearing clothes or not.
So algor mortis. Now we're talking about the body starting to shut down and your body temperature starting to drop. It can be affected by outside conditions or whether or not the person's wearing clothes. So if you want to keep or slow down the process of stage 2, the algor mortis kicking in, you have to regulate the body temperature. But once algor mortis has been completed, body goes into rigor mortis.
The third sign, rigor mortis. This sign is one of the most important signs when it comes to determining the time of death. Rigor mortis, which literally means stiff death, is the contraction of the muscles in the body after death. Before rigor mortis, all the muscles relax in the step called primary flaccidity. This happens because, after death, brain activity decreases until it completely stops. Without the brain giving muscles a signal to contract, the muscles remain in a relaxed state. Primary flaccidity lasts for 1 to 2 hours after death. The first muscles to relax are those in the eyelids, fingers, and toes. In this stage, the corpse usually releases urine and gas, as muscles controlling urination and passing gas are relaxed. Primary flaccidity is followed by rigor mortis. Rigor mortis starts in the same order that primary flaccidity does, with the eyes and fingers, and slowly progresses to the rest of the body. Rigor mortis reaches its peak 12 hours post-mortem. After that, the muscles begin to relax in the same order that they began contraction. After rigor mortis comes a second cycle of relaxation, called secondary flaccidity. which is due to muscle degeneration. Digestive enzymes break down the proteins in the muscles, including the muscle contracting machinery. Forensic experts use this progression of muscle relaxation and stiffening to estimate the time of death. They will check to see which parts of the body have stiffened and make an estimate based on what they find. It is more reliable than algor mortis, as it isn't as affected by external conditions.
Now, last but not least, is liver mortis. Even though, what's interesting about liver mortis is even though it is listed as the last stage, it actually kicks in early on in the beginning. As early as pallor mortis or algor mortis. So let's check it out.
The fourth sign, liver mortis. After death, blood is subject to the forces of gravity, now that the heart isn't moving it around any longer. It pools wherever the forces of gravity is strongest. This starts about 15 to 30 minutes after death and starts to become visible 2 hours after death. Lividity, as it is called, starts to become fixed after 6 hours as the blood vessels begin to break down. After 8 to 12 hours, a purple coloration develops. This purple color develops because the deoxygenation of hemoglobin forms deoxyhemoglobin, which has a purple-blue color. Liver mortis can be very useful for determining time of death. Once lividity is fixed, it doesn't fade, even when the body is moved. If a part of the body came in contact with a firm surface that obstructs the blood flow, an impression of it will show on the skin that is surrounded by pooled blood. The color or pattern of lividity can allow forensic scientists to guess not only what the time of death could be, but also the cause of death. Lividity in the extremities, such as the fingers, would suggest that the body was upright, as opposed to lividity developed on the back, which would suggest a horizontal position. These four signs are commonly used together in order to estimate the time of death. The time of death is not 100% accurate, however, because of so many other factors, such as the environment, weather, clothes, or whether the victim was moved.
Let me say this. Why liver mortis is important to me in the context of this video is because, again, the lividity portion. The fact that you can start to see that the person is dying or dead. Their body's still dying, but they're dead. And you might want to cover that up. If you don't want anyone to see these traces, you might overdress someone. For instance, if it was really hot outside and you put them on a long sleeve coat or windbreaker and long sweatpants or some sort of pants, maybe you're covering up some signs that began to show. And as you heard, depending on the positioning of the body, that's where the liver mortis would show up first. Okay, so in order for that not to be seen, you would have to dress the person. You understand where I'm going? Are you positive there was no pallor mortis, algor mortis, or liver mortis going on? Are you sure? Because I'm not. When I look at SUMMERWELLS sleeping in that car, allegedly, I'm not convinced that there's no pallor mortis, algor mortis, or liver mortis going on. I'm not convinced. Why? Because of the literal definitions of the terms and how fitting they are. See, most of the time we see someone dead and the first thing you say is, no, her lips haven't turned blue, her hands aren't crunched up, all this rigor mortis related stuff. And we forget rigor mortis is number 3 on the list. There's so much more that happens before that. I don't believe that SUMMERWELLS was honestly anywhere near rigor mortis. I do believe that SUMMERWELLS could be deceased. I do believe that. There is a possibility. And if you don't think of death as rigor mortis, and you realize there's other stages, I mean, you got to at least think about it. There are factors, and I'm just highlighting them. And I'm not going to accept, no, she's not dead because her lips aren't purple and her hands aren't crunched up, because that's step 3. It's just doesn't look right, and it fits the bill. If you can't go there or don't want to go there, I understand. But it fits the bill. It fits. So yeah, I know. I'm saying a lot right now. And I know it's probably not the popular opinion. Why overdress her? Was she hot or was she cold? You laid her on 2 gallons of milk, which had to be cold, because who would have hot milk? That's garbage, basically. When you get home, you gotta toss that. So you have to be cooling her off. And that would be really uncomfortable after a while. Your face would probably go to sleep. I mean, it's morbid as hell, but don't tell me it's not possible. Don't tell me it's not possible. I don't know, y'all. That's a fact. I don't know. Neither do you. None of us know. But we can all research. We can ask all the questions and try to figure this thing out.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch. She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch. She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch.
Why were you trying to catch that? What does that mean? That's what I was trying to catch. What arm was it? The left arm? It had to be, because she's laying on the right arm. Was her left arm up? I mean, because that's awkward and weird. That's what you were trying to catch, though. What does that mean? What does this video mean? Because this is not an innocent picture of a baby sleeping, in my opinion. Absolutely not. There is something morbid about this. If it was the last one taken, or she passed, or if she's already gone, I don't know. But we have to look at the facts and everything surrounding this case. And it's not impossible that Summer is no longer with us in this very picture. Something happened to this baby, possibly at the hands of the 2 people driving her around right now in this video. And I'll be damned if I won't talk about it. If she woke up from this and planted flowers and got a piece of candy from grandma and then went in the house to see her brothers, but then asked to go downstairs into the basement to play with toys and then vanished, okay, if that turns out to be what happened. But their story makes absolutely no sense. And all these little breadcrumbs they are leaving us, they're telling a different story. And even if she was alive in that car, she's missing now. No trace, no scent, no body. What happened? That's what all the questions are about ultimately. What happened?
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers, and I said okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV, and I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back, and within 2 minutes I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. she was just gone.
She was planting flowers with her mother and her grandmother, and she wanted to go into the house. So my wife watched her go into the door, and she went into the house, and the boys were on the internet, of course, and she wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys. So when her mother come in, she says, "Where's Summer?" She went down into the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there, and she was gone.
Summer come in and had a piece of peppermint, which is her favorite, and then she went in. She said, "Mama, I want to go play with the boys." Candy walked her back to the house, and she asked the boys to keep an eye on her, and that's the last time I seen her.
The most significant recent development came yesterday when an age-progressed image was released showing what Summer could look like now at the age of 7. That's the photo on the left of your screen.
Summer was 5 when she disappeared. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says there are no new details they can publicly release.
Here we are 2 years later, still trying to find out what happened to Summer. And tonight, her father is seeking some answers of his own.
I'm just having to put my faith completely in God and know that He has a better plan. And that's pretty much where I'm at. My wife is still struggling.
A lot has changed for the Wells family over the last 2 years since their daughter Summer went missing from their Beach Creek home in Hawkins County.
Social media have come out, and protested at my job, everywhere we go, and so it's hard for us to get any work or anything in Eastern Tennessee.
Wells says he and his wife Candace have been in Arkansas on and off for the last few months, where he's been working in construction. He also says they've been working with the Department of Children's Services there to get their 3 older sons back. They've been in Tennessee DCS custody since the month after Summer was reported missing.
I think they're scared of our house because of what happened, and is one of the issues, so we would like to buy another house here in Arkansas.
The house he's referring to on Ben Hill Road is where his daughter went missing from.
We couldn't understand what happened to Summer. The police couldn't understand, and they were questioning us. At times they were hard on us, and other times they weren't. It just depending on, what police agency was there at the time.
2 years later, he and Candace have no clues as to where Summer is.
We try to bounce things off of each other all the time. We might have talks about, some of the drug activity that was going on at the time and was going on right after her disappearance for quite a while. But yeah, there's nothing new. About 2 months ago, they talked to our private investigators, and the FBI did, and they shared what they could with us. But they're just trying to come up with any new information or leads that they possibly could, and so far we just haven't been able to come up with anything.
He says they haven't been able to talk to their sons.
Well, at first we were allowed to talk to them and everything, but we haven't been able to talk to them for about 6 months, no contact or anything like that. And that's all we want to do, is be able to tell them that we love them and we're rooting for them, and we're working on, things to get them back.
Hope is hard to hold on to after all this time, but Don says he's clinging to faith.
Whatever the outcome is, I have hope in God, and one day, either sooner or later, I will be with my daughter again.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a Public Information Officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Before we get started, I want to stress that the investigation into the disappearance of Summer Wells is very much active and ongoing. Please understand, in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we simply can't speak to specifics. We appreciate you being here today and your continuing coverage of this case. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on this day, 1 year ago, Summer Wells, who was 5 years old at the time, was reported missing from her home in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. When we held the first media briefing on June 16th, honestly, we expected to have good news to report by the time the next media briefing came around. Unfortunately, instead, day after day ended in frustration and disappointment. At that time, no one expected that we would still be searching for Summer 1 year later. We've said from the beginning that this case is outside the norm. There are few clues as to what happened to Summer, despite investigators doing everything within their power to find answers. All possibilities are still being explored. Many of you have asked for details about what's been done over the last year. I can tell you agents and detectives have spent thousands of hours on this case. Numerous search warrants have been executed, cell phone data has been analyzed, and any other available digital evidence has been collected, searched, and documented. This includes the social media accounts of those associated with Summer. 3 large ground searches have taken place in the last year with the assistance of more than 100 local, state, and federal agencies. Those searches do not account for the numerous targeted searches done by agents and detectives as they were following up on potential leads. From TBI alone, more than 100 agents, intelligence analysts, and support staff from across the state have been involved in this case. TBI agents working alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI have conducted nearly 170 interviews during the investigation. That does not count the hundreds of phone calls made to follow up on tips reported to law enforcement. While investigators have been diligently working to find answers, they've had to deal with thousands of tips generated by false information that in some cases has been intentionally spread across social media platforms. We know that this case has attracted the attention of individuals across the country who genuinely care about Summer and want nothing more but to help us find answers. We appreciate those people. However, we are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posts as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation and not in a good way. Moving forward, we ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video they viewed on YouTube or a theory they've seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer. This investigation weighs heavily on us all, and I can promise you that no one wants answers more than we do, and we are not going to stop until we find them. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Good morning. As Leslie mentioned, we didn't expect this case to be going on a year later. It's heartbreaking to me and my officers and the entire community. We've never stopped looking for Summer. We will continue to do so. There's never been a case in the history of Hawkins County Sheriff's Office that had officers working 365 days and had so many hours spent as we had in this investigation. Also, this office has never utilized so many different local, state, and federal agencies from across the state. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation assist us in every step of this investigation. As you heard Leslie say, thousands of hours have been invested in finding Summer, thousands of them. 170 interviews have been done. Many of these individuals have spoken to more than one time. While we haven't said a lot about the details about the investigative actions that's taken place, please know that we've never stopped. I deeply appreciate the many rescue squads, the EMAs, and the volunteer fire department for their help. And the support from the citizens and the communities of this county is just unbelievable and overwhelming with the encouragement we get with the food during the searches we've done, and all the law enforcement officers and agencies throughout the state of Tennessee. It's just phenomenal how everybody pitched in and helped us with these searches and with this investigation. And many of you have asked why that we didn't recruit private citizens to assist in these searches. With the extreme dangerous terrain that we were experiencing in the searches, we were able to monitor each group and movement and their location. That way we knew that everybody came back to the command post safely. After the initial searches, then we had to go back and obtain the landowner's permission to search again. We could not allow or even grant permission for private individuals on these people's property. And while I can promise you that we will continue to conduct target searches in the Beach Creek area as new information is developed, we'll also continue to follow up on any legitimate leads. And it's been the goal of this team since day one to find Summer. We've never stopped, we've never slowed down, we deal with it every day. And that's the whole purpose of this, to let you all know, despite what you hear, what you see, we haven't stopped. The men and women of these agencies have worked tireless, hours and hours and hours, and I commend every one of them for the job they've done, and we're going to continue till we find Summer.
Please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back.
Please bring her back home.
Just let her come home, please.
We miss her so much. Her brothers are so devastated that they wake up every morning crying for their sister. And as a mother, it really hurts to see your other children crying.